Hi, today I'm going to show you how to draw a spiderweb in a doorway. First, I wanted to show you how I came up with all of these different little tiny drawings that were my ideas, or what artists call thumbnail sketches. This is when I was thinking about how to teach you to draw a spiderweb drawing, and I was thinking of all different ideas to show my students. And I did these tiny drawings, and then I decided on my best idea, and I committed to that idea from these tiny drawings. Then I turned to a fresh page in my sketchbook, and I rotated the page so that the paper would go with the shape that I want to draw. So as you can see, I'm kind of spinning my sketchbook, and I'll show you here, I'll zoom out, so that it's nice and tall, because we're going to be doing an open doorway, and we want the shape of the paper to match the shape of the doorway. So you can see I have a spiral bound book, and I'm gonna kind of just show you how to draw a frame that is open on the bottom. I didn't have a ruler when I was making this, so I just took a folder that I had and used it to make a straight line from the bottom almost all the way to the top. Let's slide it over and check it out. See that little gap? And I turned my folder to draw another line almost to the edge of the page. There. One more line to do. You want to make sure it's evenly spaced, about the same size. It's okay if it's not perfect, but you do want to make sure it's about the same size. You can estimate, or if you really like to measure, you can. I'm going to do a line down the right side of the page. This way you're coming out with a frame around the edges, but not on the top. I took my pencil and I kind of drew an extra line on the side. This sketchbook has like a little perforated edge where you can tear the pages out. So I just drew a line there to make it look more even, and if I wanted to tear the page out, it would still look like it had a line on the side. I also added an extra line to the top of the page just to make it look like it's a little more fake. You don't have to do that part. Now it's time to start our spider web. Drawing a spider web is pretty easy. You do a little dot, and that's going to represent the center of the web. Do a straight line down through your dot in the corner of the doorway. You can pause this video as needed. We're going to do a line across the dot, and then from the corners of the top to make like an X going through the dot, and one on the other side. This one's going to connect to the edge. So there are 4 connected shapes and 4 open shapes. To make this spider web look more realistic, you're going to start in one section and draw a curved line. It's very important that the line is bending towards the middle of the web. Then we're going to add a couple more curved lines. I have about 4 here. And then move on to the next one. Starting at the center and working our way down, I found out that way was a little bit easier to make sure that it's nice and even and you're not missing any spaces. As you go, rotate your sketchbook. It becomes much easier to draw and to reach your page and to make everything look a little more even when you turn your sketchbook as you go. These little lines at the edges, you can add those if you want, or you can leave them off. But just make sure you start in the middle, bending your lines towards the dot. I'm going to try that and sneak a little line in there. Okay, now we have a couple more sections, bending towards the middle. And our spider web is starting to come together. It's looking awesome. There we go. I just finished that up with a quick little time lapse. Now I zoomed in close. I know, got a little out of focus, so that you can see the texture I'm going to be adding to the edge of the doorway. It's very similar to when we did our snake wrapped around a tree. You do some swirled lines, curved lines that don't touch or cross each other. They're mostly going up and down, and you fill the page with different curves and straight lines. As long as they don't cross or touch, here's a little swirl, it will start to look like the doorway is made of wood. These are called wood grain textures. This isn't the only way you can draw it, but I always used to do this when I was younger because it's a really great trick to make your art look super fancy. So fill the whole edge of your doorway so it looks like an old rickety wooden door. And I gotta show you how to draw the spider. So coming down from an extension of line, this will be the little string that the spider is holding on to. Draw your little line coming down, and then you're going to do an oval for the spider's body and a small circle for the spider's head. Next, we are going to do 2 little fangs for the front of the spider. And then spiders have 8 legs, so we're going to do 4 legs bending up. I put little feet on the end. You can do it like that if you want. 1, 2. We'll do the other side. 3, 4. And then we're going to do 4 legs bending forward. So the spider is kind of holding them together in the front. I always found that this looks more realistic when you do your spiders with 4 legs up and 4 legs down. Next, I started adding a triangle pointing down and a triangle pointing up to make an hourglass shape to the back of my spider. This will help it represent a really well-known spider in North America, a venomous spider called a black widow. They have hourglass shape on their back, and they also have 8 eyes like most spiders. You can add 8 eyes to your spider as well. Picture's looking pretty good. Now it's time to add some color. You can use colored pencils, or if you have something else, crayons work as well. I prefer colored pencils or crayons over markers because you can do a darker color when you press hard and a lighter color when you press lightly. I'm going to use colored pencils for my doorway, and I'm going to go over my texture lines and make them really dark by pressing hard. So I'm going to do that to the entire thing, and then I'm going to outline it and color the background with a lighter amount of pressure to create a lighter brown. Next, I added a little orange to warm up the tone. Took my black and went over the details of my spider. I know it got a little blurry when I was doing that. I darkened the web a little, then I decided to leave it. I did red for the back, and I think the spider turned out pretty cool. Can't wait to see your artwork. Bye!